Hi, James with the 1HourSmartHome.com, and today we're here to talk about the Nest Thermostat. And should you get a smart thermostat or should you get a Nest Thermostat in 2020? So I've had a Nest for a couple of years now, and this is the Nest Generation 3, which I've got up here on the wall. But before that, I had the Nest Gen 2 and then moved home, so upgraded to the Nest Generation 3 when I moved. I've been really happy with it. We'll go through some of the features of the Nest Thermostat, how it can save you energy. We'll also go through something that I think is really important that gets overlooked a lot, and that's installation of the Nest Thermostat and how that compares to some of the other smart thermostats on the market. We'll also compare this in terms of some of the features to the leading competitors for the Nest Thermostat, which is the ecobee thermostat, and kind of how that all works into answering the question, should you get a Nest Thermostat in 2020? So this is the Nest Thermostat here. What it will do is it allows you to control your heating and cooling from your phone. So you have an app on your phone, you can turn up or down your heating and cooling from the phone. It will also work with Alexa or Google Home voice assistants, so you can control your heating and cooling with your voice. And that's actually one of the features that I end up using the most. So I've got Alexa and Google because I've got to test all these things so we can give you information. But what I do probably every night before I go to bed is I tell Alexa to set the temperature to whatever temperature I want to sleep at night. So I really do enjoy that feature, and it's awesome when it's cold here in Chicago. If you don't want to get out of bed, to tell Alexa to turn up the Nest Thermostat so it's a little bit warmer when you hop in the shower or get out of bed or whatever you're doing in the morning. So I really do like that feature. Now, in terms of just features that are integrated into the smart thermostat, that is one of the key kind of like drivers of getting a smart thermostat. So beyond being able to control it from your smartphone, it also has smart programming in it and some sensors that will allow you to schedule when you want to turn on and off, just like a normal programmable thermostat. But it's much easier to schedule than one of those programmable thermostats when you kind of go through different menus and settings. This is just like one screen. You tap on that screen what time you want it to be, what temperature. Super easy to do. Or if you don't want to go through setting your own schedule, it actually has an auto schedule function that will record your actions for a week or so and then kind of adjust a schedule for you. So it'll notice that you turn it up in the morning and turn it down at night, and it'll create an auto schedule for you, which is something that a lot of people really like. Now, one of the other things about the scheduling feature is it has a early on schedule feature, which I really like. So if you want it to be 70 degrees at 5 p.m., it'll turn on the furnace prior to 5 p.m. so that at 5 p.m. it's exactly 70 degrees, where like older programmable thermostats, they didn't have that feature. They would just turn on the thermostat at 5 rather than prior to 5. So what's nice about that is if you get home the same time every day, you could set it so that you could save energy all day and then have the smart thermostat on, turn on right before you get home, and it would be the perfect temperature when you get home. So that is a really great way to do it. One of the other features it has is eco mode, which just helps you save energy when you're away. There's a little motion detector in here, and it also connects to the app on your phone and can use your GPS location. And basically what it does is it's going to turn down your heating and cooling while you're gone, and it will save you energy while you're away by reducing those temperatures automatically if you allow the eco mode feature to be on. But with that eco mode feature, there's also a screen on there that will show you how much energy you've used with your smart thermostat. And I really like that because it just kind of keeps you aware of what's going on, how much energy you're using with your smart thermostat. And it's kind of like playing a little game. You can be like, all right, I'm going to try and save more energy this week or less energy. And, obviously the goal is to save more energy. But you can see how much you used on certain days based on what the temperature was. And it's just really interesting to see like how much you use your furnace or you don't use it and how much you can get away with kind of using less and less and less to save energy. So for some of you, that's a big deal because you may live in a home or a state where it gets really cold and you spend hundreds of dollars a month on heating or cooling, or in a really hot state, you could spend a whole bunch on cooling. So that is a really nice feature that I like, just being able to track your energy consumption, and it's environmentally friendly too, so that's a selling point. In terms of some of the other features that I like that a lot of people just don't know about, is there are temperature sensors that you can pair with this. So you can put those throughout your home, and those temperature sensors will tell you the temperature in a particular room through the Nest app, but it will also allow you to set your Nest thermostat to maintain a temperature per that Nest temperature sensor. So instead of, let's say I've got this in my living room, if I have a temperature sensor up in my bedroom, I can tell the Nest I want it to maintain 70 degrees in the bedroom or 65 degrees in the bedroom at night, and it will do that rather than maintaining the temperature down here at 70 degrees. And why that's important is because, I like to sleep at a consistent temperature every night, and using the Nest temperature sensor up in the bedroom allows me to do that, where it's a little bit hotter or cooler down here. So there are variations in how hot or cool is where your thermostat is versus where you actually want to heat or cool. So I do find those temperature sensors to be super useful. They can also be used to, I've got a couple of them. You can use them to kind of determine what vents you should open and close in your house, which can help maintain comfort in your house and help you be more energy efficient, so you're not heating or cooling areas of your home that you really don't use, or when you have uneven heating and cooling. It does help me kind of level that out. So I kind of went around, I placed the temperature sensors different areas, and then I went and shut and closed vents until I kind of got an equalized area for my home. So I really do like that. Now, one feature that I do think is really cool that they added in here is if you have the Nest smoke detectors and carbon monoxide alarms, if smoke is detected or carbon monoxide is detected, it will automatically shut down your Nest thermostat. And why that's really important is in a fire, you obviously don't want your furnace on because that will spread the smoke throughout the home. It's just sucking in air and blowing it throughout the house. So this shutting that down can actually save you, give you more time to get out of the house and save smoke from spreading throughout the house as fast. So I think that's a really cool feature that a lot of people just don't know about, don't think about, but you have to have the Nest smoke detectors and CO detectors for that. Another thing that I do like about it is carbon monoxide, which is, it's like a silent killer. A lot of times you don't even know that you've got it in your house until the alarm goes off. But one of the biggest causes is water heaters and furnaces, faulty water heaters and furnaces. So if you had a carbon monoxide leak that could potentially be life-threatening, it would automatically shut off your furnace and stop that source of the carbon monoxide leak if that was the case. Now, if it's your water heater, obviously it's not connected to the water heater, so it's not going to do anything there. But furnaces are a big contributor to carbon monoxide injuries and deaths and stuff like that. So that's a really neat feature that I think a lot of people don't know about, that kind of adds an extra level of protection to a smoke or a carbon monoxide system. It gives you just a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra protection, which I think is definitely worth it. In terms of, I think that's pretty much it kind of in terms of the features that you can use with the Nest thermostat. So we'll talk about installation and how it compares to some of the other smart thermostats. In terms of installation, I recommend the Nest thermostat in 2020 because it is probably one of the easiest smart thermostats to install. And why it's easy to install, I'll just take this off, I guess here, is that it only requires 4 wires for installation. And it doesn't necessarily require a common wire. So you can see I've got my 4 wires here connected. But the competing smart thermostats like Ecobee and some of the others, they all require a common wire or a common wire adapter, which takes 5 wires and makes it into 4 so it works for your thermostat or provides power through this common wire adapter. Well, that common wire adapter requires you to go in your furnace and do some wiring, which I'm perfectly comfortable with doing, but a lot of you might not be comfortable doing, and it's just something extra you gotta know and do. Whereas with the Nest, for the most part, you don't have to add a common wire. Most people don't. We do have a video that teaches you how to add a common wire, but that's probably like 10% of people or less that need to have one. So 90% of you are gonna have a very easy installation. So that is one of the reasons that I like this. It's super easy if you've got 4 wires, if you've got a standard HVAC system, if you've got a heat pump, if you've got a boiler, the Nest thermostat will work with those, and it's just super easy to set up. You just basically take your old thermostat off the wall, put this new one on, put the wires in the appropriate connectors here, and you're ready to go. There's no kind of like wiring you have to go do back at your HVAC system. So in terms of installation, that is one reason that I really like this. The other reason that I really like this, in comparison to some of the other smart thermostats out there on the market, is that, I mean, it just looks nice, right? Anytime you go into somebody's home and you see one of these, you kind of have that feeling like, oh, there's a nice house. They've got the Nest Thermostat. It just kind of makes it look like techy and nice, and it's round. It's made by the guy who designed the Apple iPod, which some of you will have no idea what that is. But he was an Apple designer, Tony Fadell, and he just kind of brought the design aesthetic of Apple into the Nest. So they like look really good. You know, on the wall, you can have different cover plates or base plates for it. You can even get different color Nest thermostats. I think there's 5 or 6 colors now. So you can find something that'll match your design aesthetic, but I think it's really nice. It's low profile. It has this nice smooth ring that rotates around the outside to adjust the temperature, and just something that looks good on the wall. Now, the other competing ones, they're made more of plastic rather than glass, or this is glass on the front and stainless steel. So they might have just maybe like less of a high-end look than the Nest. You know, I have found that most people probably end up going with the Nest over the Ecobee just kind of because of looks. The other thing that I do like about the Nest is that it's more designed for just simple, easy to use like features. You don't have to know a lot about it to be able to immediately begin using it, right? So even my grandma can use this, right? You just rotate it to left or right and turns on or off just like an old style traditional thermostat, which I think is really ingenious to have such a simple way to control the thermostat. Whereas the Ecobee, it's not necessarily as intuitive. Now the Ecobee is a great thermostat, don't get me wrong, and it has a ton of features, and it probably has more features than the Nest. But how you use those features and accessing them is a little bit more complicated. It's not necessarily as intuitive. If you're like a super techie type person or engineer, you'll probably like the Ecobee more just because there's like features upon features upon features on tracking and just all kinds of stuff you can do. But what I've found is that all those menus make it confusing for a lot of just average users of the tech that just want something to work. The Ecobee will definitely work. It works fine. But there's just more to it, and sometimes having more choices is not necessarily a good thing. So that's kind of the big differences between this. I do think this operates a little bit easier than the Ecobee, and I do think the design looks a little bit nicer than the Ecobee with the stainless steel and the glass plate, where the Ecobee is like a plastic or glass cover and then a plastic case around it. So this is kind of a more solid option. Overall, I am going to continue with the Nest Thermostat in 2020. If I was building a new home or I was looking at upgrading a thermostat to a smart thermostat, I would go with this mainly for design, ease of use, and ease of installation for most of you. Now, if you're more technical and you can do the Ecobee installation, that's great for you. But for most people, this is just going to be the easiest way to install a smart thermostat. It connects to your Wi-Fi super easy. You just got to put your Wi-Fi password in and then you're ready to go with it. So we've got all kinds of videos on the Nest Thermostat. If you've got any other questions or you're having problems with installation or anything like that, so go check them out. But I hope this answered the question for you. Should you get a Nest Thermostat in 2020? My answer personally is yes. I think they're a great piece of technology. They can help you save energy. You know, there's reports that they save between 10 or 15% energy if you do that eco mode and let it adjust your temperature settings while you're gone. And I found that it has saved me energy. The biggest reason that it saves me energy is because I can control it with my voice, and I will more actively turn up or down the heat if I'm feeling that I'm too hot or too cold. And that in itself just saves me energy, because I'll be sitting at my desk and I'll be like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna turn down the AC or the heat because I feel comfortable and I don't really need to use more energy. So that alone in itself saves me a ton of energy. Also, just being aware of how much you're using on the little chart on the app is really nice. So hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Click on any links below if you want to support us. If you do click on that link for the Nest Thermostat or the Nest Thermostat temperature sensors, that does help support this channel and help us create great content for you. So thank you very much, and we will see you next time.